What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Jake and this is Sensible Capital, and today I'm reacting to Millennial Money, living on $65K a year, working 3 jobs in Houston, Texas. For those of you who don't already know, I've worked in finance my entire professional career and as a licensed investment advisor for the vast majority of that time. So let's get into it.
My name is Shanita Leslie. I'm 40 years old. I live in Houston, Texas, and I make $65,000 a year working 3 jobs. I like having multiple streams of income.
Don't we all?
Those are things that I don't feel like I have to do, and more so now that I want to do, now that I'm in a place that is financially comfortable for me.
Okay, 2023, she made $55K as a program manager. So clearly that's the main job here. It seems like the others, we saw DoorDash, they're very clearly supplementary in this case. There we go. 6K from DoorDash, 3K from freelance writing.
So I started my financial journey by picking up DoorDash as a side hustle to pay down my student loan debt.
That's not an insane amount, unfortunately. I've definitely seen worse, but it could be better. Given that she works for the university, I would assume she's either already or she will in the future qualify for the PSLF, the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program. That's really good and should help take care of the majority, if not all of that, depending on whether she has federal or private student loans. So I'd be interested to see if they cover that.
I knew that DoorDash wasn't going to make me rich by any means, but I really enjoyed the idea of working on my own time instead of having someone dictate to me when I needed to start working, when I needed to stop working. I remember one time I was doing delivery to a restaurant for a customer, and when I walked in, I overheard what looked like a grandmother was talking to her grandchild, and she made a statement under her breath, and she said, make sure you get a good education so that you don't end up like that. That really took me back a little bit because I was actually doing DoorDash to pay off my student loans, to pay off the education that everybody told me I needed to get. At the height of the pandemic, that's when I was really doing the most amount of hours with DoorDash. I was doing maybe 4 to 5 hours after work a week. And so that equates to about maybe 25 to 30 hours, including the weekends that I was also putting forth. DoorDash kind of opened up other pathways for me to make money, and freelance writing was the second way I started to make money.
The thing about doing gig work is, like she said, it affords you an incredible amount of flexibility to work when you want and how you want, but it's important that you treat it like it's your own kind of small business in a sense. If you're going to deliver for DoorDash or do something like that, try to optimize the out of it. You want to make sure that you are earning the absolute most that you possibly can for the least amount of effort and time that you're putting into it. Because it's very easy to do things like this. And then later on in the year, you run the numbers and you're paying your taxes and you realize, hey, I really didn't earn as much as I thought, given the amount of time and effort that I was putting into this. But doing something like that can be really great to help supplement your main level of income and help you reach your savings goals and things like that a lot faster than you would otherwise.
I use zero-sum budgeting in order to manage my money, where I have one set amount of money coming into my bank account, and then from there I allocate every single dollar until it hits zero so that I understand where every expense came from.
Very nice. So she's using zero-sum budgeting. There's a lot of different budgeting methods out there, but the ones that account for every single dollar that you spend and earn can be some of the best, especially if you aren't earning that much. That's the irony of not earning a ton of money, is that you have to do the most work when it comes to budgeting, even though you have the least in your accounts and you're bringing in the least amount of money. If you have the discipline to do a type of budgeting like that, it can be great for you because it's so specific and it doesn't allow for that sort of same error that other forms of budgeting do. First, we got housing and utilities, $1,408. That is a remarkable amount of money there. I'm assuming she either has like a very small studio apartment or roommates, or maybe even some combination of both. Next, we've got insurance, $620. 22. Health, dental, vision, and life. That seems kind of high there. I'm wondering what that split works out to, how much of that is coming from the health, dental, and vision, and how much from the life insurance. Life insurance is one of those things you definitely want to be careful of. There's a lot of people going around masquerading as financial professionals when really they're just glorified insurance salesmen, and they're going to try to convince you to buy some overpriced whole life policy or something like that that really might not be the best fit for your financial situation. So definitely be careful when it comes to things like that. Next, we've got discretionary, $436. Household goods and shopping, not an abnormal amount there. It seems fairly reasonable given what she's earning, but depending on her goals and what we're looking at in the investment side, that might be an area where we could potentially cut back. Next, we've got the 403B at $400. That's kind of the standard that you see is roughly 10%. Most people will say you should contribute to retirement, whether it be a 401k, a 403B, IRAs, what have you. Of course, I'm biased as an investment advisor, but we'd like to see those numbers a little higher. That's generally considered the floor for what you want to see there, especially as you get older. We want to bolster that retirement as much as possible. Food, $271, very reasonable amount that she's spending there, especially if she's going out to eat. That is commendable there, and probably a testament to her doing the zero-sum budgeting that she's not spending more money there. So props on that. Subscriptions and memberships, $245. We're looking at gym and Hulu. She's either going to a really nice gym or she's paying for personal training because Hulu doesn't cost that much. A student loan of $238 and the phone of $47. Nothing out of the ordinary there either.
I pretty much wake up at about 4 o'clock in the morning to get to my gym class at about 6 o'clock. It's really important to start my day at the gym because it's the first thing that I can get to do in the morning without any other obligations. And it allows me to dedicate the rest of my time after work towards doing DoorDash as my side hustle.
There we go, $237 a month for gym. Unless they're just doing this for the camera, she's clearly getting personal training, and that's not going to be cheap. Okay, so she replaced the car with an e-bike.
That way I didn't have to worry about the hassle of paying for all the expenses of having a new car while also trying to earn money as a DoorDash driver part-time. Getting around Houston has been actually pretty easy considering that I live within the greater Houston area. I can do both combinations of using my bike as well as the Metro Rail line.
That's excellent. So her car broke down, and then rather than go out and try to convince herself, oh, I gotta have a nice new car, oh, it's gonna be safer, I have to do this for myself, she went and got an e-bike. She didn't even get another vehicle. And that's probably saving her a ton of money each month. You're not having a car payment and not having to deal with the maintenance and the gas. That's an excellent move on her part. The unfortunate thing is that, of course, in the US, we're not the most pedestrian-friendly country in the world. And so there are tons of people who have no choice but to have a car. We don't have the public transit facilities, or they live too far to be able to use a bike or walk to work. But when you have the ability to do that, you should absolutely take advantage of it because it can allow you to save so much more money and then put that money towards investing and saving early on where it can do the most work for you over the years. I got my first car when I was around 17, a 93 Honda Accord. I paid almost nothing for it, I think like $2,000, and I held on to that car all the way up until a couple years ago. Doing something like that and making those sorts of sacrifices when you can allows you to save so much money that you can put towards investing that puts you so far ahead of the vast majority of people, even at an early age. So I absolutely love when people take those sorts of steps to put them in that strong financial position. People love to overspend on their cars, and it can really be detrimental to your future financially speaking. Okay, $1,000 in savings.
I do intend on growing that emergency fund after I have fully covered all of any remaining debt that's left out there.
Okay, so she's got a $1,000 emergency fund established already. That's good in itself, so I give her props for that. The thing that caught my attention was she mentioned she wants to build it, but she wants to wait until she's taking care of all of the debt that she has before she does so. Now, looking at the budget, unless they haven't mentioned this yet, she didn't mention any sort of really super problematic debt, things like credit cards, payday loans, personal loans, things like that. So that's good that she has the emergency savings because frankly, that's doing better than a lot of people automatically. But you don't necessarily want to wait until you just have no debt at all left to start building that up to an adequate level. That adequate level, of course, is going to be different depending on who you ask. There's all sorts of different opinions. $1,000 is okay, but if you talk to a financial professional, usually you're going to hear something more in the realm of 3 to 6 months worth of your living expenses. Now, that doesn't mean 3 to 6 months worth of I'm balling out and I'm going out every single day and just spending however I want to. But that's 3 to 6 months of just getting by and putting yourself in a position where you can get back on your feet and take care of what you need to. $1,000 is unfortunately nowhere near 3 to 6 months worth of her living expenses. So we would hopefully want to try to focus more on growing that in the short term. That could mean she has to spend less on her discretionary expenses for a little while, have a little bit of sacrifice for a bit, and hopefully try to build that up. I would say at least to 3 to 5 times what it is currently. Give her herself that buffer. Because the problem is, if she runs into an emergency, if she were to lose her main job or be put in a position where she has to spend more than $1,000, then you run into the problem of how am I going to fund the rest of that? Am I going to pull it from investments and from a retirement account, potentially take on massive penalties in the process? Am I going to have to use debt to cover that and then dig myself in a further hole because now I have to service that debt and pay that down after the fact? So that's the importance of having an adequate emergency fund. Now, on the other hand, it's very possible to have too much in emergency savings. This is definitely not what we're dealing with here, but there are people who are so risk averse and in a position where for one reason or another, they just want to have everything sitting in cash. And that can definitely be a detriment as well when we're talking about saving for retirement and the opportunity cost of not investing in the market. Everyone's emergency fund is going to look a little bit different. Some people's emergency funds are going to have to be a lot larger than others. It's going to depend on your risk tolerance and what's comfortable for you. Okay, 96K retirement savings, $400 a month. Good.
I feel pretty comfortable about my retirement investments and my quality of life that I'll have when I do hit the age of retirement. I think I'm saving pretty reasonably considering the amount of student loan debt that I was also paying off simultaneously.
So she's doing a really good job saving for retirement. Like she said, the student loan debt payments are kind of pulling away a little bit from her true potential. It's not allowing her to invest quite as much as she would like. Frankly, there are a lot of people who get to be 40 years old who haven't even begun, which is a huge mistake. But the thing is, a lot of people vastly underestimate just how much money that they're going to need in retirement and how much they need to be setting aside ahead of time to get them to a happy and healthy retirement, to live the life that they want to live. Let's just take a second and run it through a quick retirement calculator just to get an idea of what we're looking at. If we use the NerdWallet retirement calculator, again, assuming she's 40, pre-tax annual income of $65K, she's got $96K, monthly contribution of $400, and she's going to be living off of 70% of her pre-retirement income. That's a pretty standard figure just we can use by default here. Assuming she retires at age 67, she's going to have around $836,000 at that age. The blue line here is kind of what's recommended based on their general calculations, and the green line is where she's going to be. So we are going to have a bit of a shortfall if she wanted to live off of 70K of her pre-retirement income for the rest of her life. Now, of course, once she pays off the student loans, we're going to assume she's going to be putting extra money towards retirement savings. So that's going to help. And this isn't factoring in things like Social Security and pensions or anything else like that. So just really quick and dirty calculations here. Charts like this aren't meant to discourage you, but just to show you that, hey, in a lot of cases, it's not quite enough to live the lifestyle that you're hoping to come retirement time. So she's doing a good job, but we really want to see her try to just supercharge that and put even more money towards retirement if she's able to. Okay, $1,250 a month for the apartment. That's really good.
I have a lot more flexibility in my budget to be able to afford a bigger apartment, but I choose to live in accommodations that I really enjoy and is also more financially affordable.
What she said there is excellent. It gives us a really good insight into how she thinks about money. And the idea of living below your means is really, truly critical to being able to get ahead financially. There's so many people that just think that because I can buy something that I should, whether it's a bigger and better apartment or a nicer car. And that really holds you back in the long term. It's not about, can I buy something, but it's about, can I really afford it? And to understand if you can afford something, you really got to think about the opportunity cost of, if I'm spending this extra dollar towards rent or a slightly nicer apartment, what sort of effect is that having down the line on my retirement? Am I sacrificing to be able to have that? A lot of people don't think that way, but it seems like she's really smart and she's thinking about things in a way that's going to put her ahead in the future, financially speaking. Okay, $270 a month, both dining out and groceries. That's really good.
I like to spend a small amount of my money within the health and wellness category, which includes clothes, eating out, enjoying time with friends and family, and some small traveling every once in a while.
If she's able to do all that out of $270 a month, that's fantastic. Good for her.
So graduating during the Great Recession was one of the most stressful times of my life. I had accrued $101,000 of student loan debt. The weight of that was extremely severe, and it was really hard for me to get on my feet and find my first stable job working full-time to make enough to even pay the minimum balance, just the interest on the loan. And I knew that I would qualify for public service loan forgiveness at some point.
Okay, there we go. $60K forgiven. Awesome. So she did qualify for the PSLF. Having $100K in student loan debt, even in a good economy, sucks. And to have that coming into a workforce where there's fewer jobs to go around and you're probably not going to earn as much money, that just amplifies that burden and makes it even harder to take care of. So I understand where she's coming from, and it's unfortunate that timing and luck can be a big part of your success, at least straight out of school.
The moment I heard or received a letter that my federal student loans had been forgiven due to my years of service, I was completely relieved.
I bet. Okay, so the rest that she has is private. That's why that wasn't taken care of.
I decided to avoid having any credit cards. I haven't had the best history with having a credit card in the past, and I want to ensure that I kind of have a strong footing of where I am financially before I decide to take that route. I don't have any worries about my credit score right now because I don't intend on making any big purchases. I felt it was also essential that I continue to rent for right now until I'm able to feel comfortable enough to want to take on a large amount of debt all over again, but this time making it profitable, which is having rental property.
Her mindset on credit cards is fantastic. The ability to recognize when something like that would just enable you to spend more money is something that a lot more people need. Credit cards are a tool. They can be great for you. They can allow you to establish credit and get rewards and points for stuff that you're already going to spend money on. But on the other hand, if having a credit card is just going to enable you to spend more money and buy things that you weren't already planning on buying, and to, worst case scenario, put yourself in debt and have to pay a ton of interest towards it, those points and rewards, they mean absolutely nothing. You're paying for those with the interest that you're giving the credit card company. So her mindset on that is great, and I hope that she continues on that path. If you're going to get a credit card, you need to truly understand yourself and your spending habits and not let it put you in a position where you're just going to spend more money than you were already planning to.
When completing my debt-free journey, I anticipate on living my life to the fullest, like going to different countries on my own time and venturing out and doing more creative things that really fulfill me and really get to spend more time with my friends and family. I definitely want to enjoy my life and enjoy the life I created for myself by becoming debt-free. And I'm living out what I anticipated, which is really just buckling down and focusing on my goals and making sure that I never put myself in that situation again.
Well, she has a really great mindset when it comes to everything, so good for her. I like a lot of what she's doing. Her mindset with the credit cards is fantastic. She's living below her means, which is really solid and more than can be said for a lot of people. And she's doing what she needs to in terms of hustling and getting out there and working a couple extra jobs and doing some side gigs. So that's great as well. For her sake, I hope that she's able to put that degree to work and maybe, get a raise or get a position that's going to earn her some more money so she doesn't have to go out here and work 2 separate jobs, even if they are just side gigs. As long as we can get the savings and the investments dialed in and take that up just another level, she's going to be doing great in the future. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Thanks again for watching, and always remember to be sensible.